Okay. So now we did the sajda, we pray for whatever it is what we ask for. We take our time in the sajda. Okay? Rising from the sajda. So now I put my face to the ground. Subhana Rabbil A'la 3 times. Now I want to rise up from the sajda. Also, he would raise his hands with the takbir sometimes. So, in the sajda position, can everybody see me? Yes. In the sajda position, if you can't, you can stand up. In the sajda position, we also know that the feet are supposed to be heel to heel. You're supposed to have the heels together in the sajda position. Okay? So the heels should be, what's the best way I can stand? Your arms are out toward your ears or your shoulders, and the elbows up. So the hadith says that when the Prophet Muhammad came up from sajda, he would say Allahu Akbar and sometimes raise his hands. So if you see some brothers raising their hands, this is the sunnah. So he would raise his hands sometimes in the sajda and sometimes he would not raise his hands. This is from the sunnah. This is recorded in Sahih Bukhari, Abu Dawud, Sahih Muslim. And it says here to raise the hands here, to raise the hands in the sajda, coming up into the sitting position. And with every takbir was the view that was voiced by Imam Ahmed. As also in Ibn al-Qayyim's Bada'i. Athkar quoted from him, Imam Ahmed, that on being asked about raising the hands, he said with every movement down and up. Athkar said, I saw Abu Abdullah, i.e. Imam Ahmed, raising his hands in prayer with every movement of going up or going down. So there is a hadith that with every movement you raise your hand up and down. Okay? Not saying that you have to, because there are hadiths that say that the Prophet Muhammad did not raise his hands in the sajda. Okay, so now we have two contradicting hadiths. Are they contradictive? No, because maybe those sahabas who said they didn't see him raise it, they didn't see him raise it because he didn't raise them at that time. But there are some sahabas that saw him raise his hands, so to show that it is permissible to raise your hands. It's not just a Shiite thing. Okay, so if you see brothers raising their hands in the sajda or going into the sajda, coming up into the Jalsa position, which is the next position. The next position is the sitting position, and this is called the Jalsa. Jalsa position means sitting. Okay? So we come from the sajda and we go into this position here. This is called Jalsa. This is called the sitting position. Jalsa. Sitting position. Jalsa. Jim Lam Sin. Jim Lam Sin. Jalsa. Right? This comes from the word. You hear this word a lot. Majlis. We're going to have a majlis. You never heard that word? Majlis. A majlis means a sit down or a mushura. Okay? The other word instead of mushura they use the majlis. Majlis means let's have a sit down. We're going to have a sit down. A mushura.
Is that the board? The same thing?
A board, yeah. We sit down with the board. But it all comes from the same root word, Jalsa. To sit. So, now in going into the Jalsa position from the sajda position, you can raise the hands. This is recorded in Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim. This was the way of Imam Ahmed, as well as Ibn Qayyim. But there are hadiths, you'll see them, so I'm going to quote them too, where they said that some of the Sahaba said that he did not raise the hands in the prostration. Okay? Doesn't mean that somebody was lying and one's contradictory or it must be false. Remember the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had 120 sahabas, 120,000 sahabas. Right? He had thousands of sahabas. So maybe one sahaba they seen and they moved somewhere, they seen something that some of the other sahabas did not see. It doesn't mean that it didn't happen. It just means that those sahabas didn't see it. Yes, the Hanafis, the land of Kufa, Iraq. The Malikis was the Imam Malik who lived in the Hijaz. Imam Malik had more privy to hadiths than Imam Hanafi because he lived in the land of the Prophet. So he lived in the Hijaz. So all the customs, the Sahabas, and all the norms of the people of the Sahabas and the Tabi'een, it was still prevalent in the time of Medina. The people that went to Kufa, some of the Sahabas that went to Kufa, they weren't privy to all the hadiths, so Imam Hanafi didn't have access to all the hadiths that maybe Maliki had, or Shafi'i had, or Hanbali. Just like us today, we have more access to hadiths than Imam Hanafi had. Because we got the World Wide Web, we got Google. We can Google. Right? That's why I say Imam Ahmed that his madhab is the strongest because he had more access to the hadiths. Allahu Akbar. Okay? But now we're going into the Jalsa. The Jalsa position. So we know that going from the sajda to the Jalsa position, it's okay to raise your hands. So if you see some brothers raising their hands, it doesn't mean that they're Shiites. I used to think it until I read the hadiths. Brothers raising their hands, it's a Shiite dude right there. But then when I read the hadith, I found out that it is okay to do it, so it is a part of the sunnah. Just like saying Assalamu alaikum one time to the right. That's the sunnah. Shiites do it, or the Malikis, they claim to do it, but this is the sunnah. Which we're going to get into when we get into the taslim, inshallah. Next, he would lay his left foot along the ground and sit on it, relaxed, and he ordered the one who prayed badly, thus saying to him, when you prostrate firmly, then when you rise, sit on your left thigh. Sit on your left thigh. So there is a sunnah of the Jalsa. He says, sit under your left foot, so your left foot is underneath you. Sit on your left foot. Now this is the proper sitting, with your right foot up, your left foot underneath, your right foot up, with your toes facing the Qibla. This is the most proper way to sit in the Jalsa, especially in the second, fourth rakat being the end, or the third rakat of Maghrib. You should sit like this. This is proper. But there are hadiths of Ibn Umar when he did not sit like that, he would sit a different way. And they asked me, why are you praying like this? He said, because I have difficulty sitting like this. So if you have a difficulty sitting like that with your leg propped up, you can sit a different way. But the best way to sit was the last way I showed, with the right leg popped up, the left leg underneath, and the right leg popped up. That is the sunnah. Especially on the last rakat. Especially on the last rakat. But again, there are hadiths, especially from Ibn Umar where he did not sit like that because he said he couldn't do it. Some people, they got arthritis, some people, their knees be hurting. You know how we get when we get old. Okay? So, therefore, you can modify your sitting. That's a good word. Modify your sitting. Okay? He would have his right foot upright. Like I just said, his right foot would be upright and point his toes towards the Qibla. Okay? This is recorded from Sahih Muslim, Sahih, Nasa'i, Sahih. Okay? The obligation of being at ease between the two sajdas. So also, when you're in the Jalsa position, it is mandatory that you relax. Again, we're not supposed to peck like what? Like a hen. So to make sajda, to pray like this, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, that's not Salaah. That's moving too fast, way too fast. You don't have no Salaah. Moving way too fast. You ain't concentrating. I don't even know how you say Subhana Rabbil A'la 3 times. Right? You didn't even get position right yet. I see some people like that. Ooh, that was a fast Fatiha. Because I be watching. I be watching like, ooh, that was a fast Fatiha. Man, you must have been blazing.
Did the Prophet send a guy back in 3 times to the masjid, make him do his slaughter over
Yeah, because he kept making mistakes.
And he never did do it right.
Never. And he said, let me tell you how to do it. Okay? The obligation of being at ease, so it is an obligation, it's a command to be at ease in the sitting position. The sitting position is called what? Sitting position is called what? Standing position called what? The bound position called what? Okay, just check. He, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, would be relaxed until every bone returned to its proper position. And he ordered the one who prayed badly likewise and said to him, the prayer of any of you is not complete until he does this. So if you do not take your time, if you're moving too fast, your prayer will not be complete. The lengthening the sitting between the 2 sajdas. Also, he would lengthen it until it was about almost as long as his sajda. So however long you stay down in the bowing position or the prostrated position, Subhana Rabbil A'la, Subhana Rabbil A'la, Subhana Rabbil A'la, and maybe you stay down there and ask for a specific dua. Then when you come to the sitting position, take your time in that position too. Give it just a little bit more time. It's almost the same amount of time that you did your sajda. Maybe not that long if you did a long dua, but just enough to show that you're making a distinction between the 2. He would remain, also he would lengthen it until it was about almost as long as sajda, and sometimes he would remain in this position until one would say he has forgotten what he's doing. So they thought that he forgot to go down to the other one because he was staying in that position for so long. It says, Ibn Qayyim said, this sunnah was abandoned by the people after the time of the companions. But as for the one who abides by the sunnah and does not glance sideways towards whatever contradicts it, he is unworried about anything opposing this guidance. So this is something that we should start putting back into the sunnah. Taking our time in the Jalsa position. Okay? What is the Athkar, or what is the Thikr in the Jalsa position? There are many Thikrs. There are many Athkar. I know you probably all have your favorite one. I'm going to give you the most easiest. Okay? The most easiest. This is narrated by Ibn Majah, Imam Ahmed. In the sitting position, we say, everybody got this? I can erase this? Dalil. What's Dalil? Okay. In the Jalsa position, we say, Rub Big. Fear Lee. Fear Lee. Lord, forgive me.
Just say it.
Forgive me.
Astaghfirullah is not enough.
The Athkar, or the Thikr, that was taught by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to say in this position is Rabbik firli akfirli 3 times. Rabbik firli akfirli, Rabbik firli akfirli, Rabbik firli akfirli. When he went into the second sajda, because we know we're going to the sajda, then we come up into the Jalsa. In the Jalsa we say Rabbik firli akfirli, Rabbik firli akfirli. Lord, forgive me 3 times. Next, he would say Takbir. Now we're going back into the sajda again because you go down sajda, Jalsa, sajda, then back up to the qiyam if we're doing the first rak'ah. Right? You guys with me? So now we just did Jalsa. Now we're going back into the second sajda. Y'all with me? Okay. The second sajda. Next he would say Takbir and prostrate for the second time going into the sajda. He also ordered the one who prayed badly to do so, saying to him after he had ordered him to be at ease between the sajdas, then say Allahu Akbar and prostrate until your joints are relaxed, and do that in all your prayer. He would perform his sajda exactly as he performed the first one. Also, he would raise his hands with takbir sometimes. So again, raising the hands again. Again, this is narrated in the Sahihs of Abu Dawood, Abu Awana. This raising of the hands was supported by Imam Malik, Imam Ahmed, and Shafi'i in narrations of them of the raising of the hands even going into the sajda. Next, he would raise his head while saying takbir, and he ordered the one who prayed better to do likewise, saying to him after ordering him to prostrate for the second time, then raise your head and say takbir. He also said to him, then do that in all your bowing and prostrations, for if you do that, your prayer will be complete. And if you fall short in any of this, you will be deficient in your prayer. Also, he would raise his hands sometimes with the takbir. Again, going into the second sajda, he would raise his hands. Sometimes he wouldn't. Sometimes he did it. Sometimes he didn't. Both is the sunnah. You see somebody raise their hands, don't flip out. You see somebody not raise their hands, don't flip out. Worry about your Salaah. Am I right? Am I in Kaja? Why am I even looking at this person? How can I see this? If I'm supposed to be looking down at the ground, how can I see this person three places over and how they doing their fingers and stuff?
You can, but you're not concentrating.
You're not in total concentration. If you got some good peripheral vision. Unless you got some good peripheral vision. Okay?